Hello, guys, and welcome to Capitol Hill. I am Nine, otherwise known as Senator Nine, the chairman of the Hill. With me today, I have on the left
Ah, Replicate.
and on the
The
right,
speaker Pro-Tempore audience.
and on the
Uh,
right.
minority leader, Definitely Josh.
All right, so recently today on the Statements channel within the U.S. Congress Discord, we have seen various members of the House having sort of a clash today. With the main reason being a messy, quote, messy first session. Would you guys like to share your story on that?
Yes, Mr. Minority Leader will be going first. Then I will be adding on.
All right.
Um, so yeah, pretty much. I think I can say on behalf of our caucus, we've always kind of stood for transparency. We want to respect the rules. We want to make sure that this chamber follows the rules that we set. And we were a bit, honestly, we went into that session and, it definitely wasn't the most organized. There was definitely some issues. But it wasn't like that, first sessions, they can be a little bit messy, especially when it's, the first term for a new speaker. But we were mostly shocked at the response we got from the majority party after, because like we went out there and we were like, okay, it was a bit of a messy session, so we made a statement, saying that we were blah blah blah, we, what we could improve on, what we could do going forward. And we were honestly just stunned at the level of disregard, shown by the majority party. Like, we didn't raise these concerns to stir drama. We raised them because the rules were broken, plain and simple. And instead of correcting these errors or even acknowledging them, the response we got was like sarcasm, personal digs, and mockery. Like, is this really how the majority like handles oversight, like with ridicule? Like, let's be clear, pointing out procedural failures is not quote unquote pettiness. It is something that, is part of our congressional duty. And if this chamber now considers legitimate criticism an attack, then we've lost sight of the very, purpose of governance. We've tried to be patient. We've given, the speaker room to grow. And again, like, our main issue was not with the speaker. We understand that he's new to the position of speaker, and to be fair, he said that he said he's going to work on that. But our main issue was the response that we got from the majority leader, who laughs off concerns, mocks, explained absences, and then refuses to own up to mistakes when challenged. Like, that's not miscommunication. That's outright deflection and disrespect. Like, frankly, it's appalling that LP has been the target of coordinated a smear effort, simply for doing what every representative should be doing, holding power accountable. And we're expected to stay silent when rules are trampled and voices are mocked. Like, the public deserves better. We just want to provide transparency, okay? We just want to, relay, think back on what we can do going forward. And yes, I definitely agree. Like, we all have room to grow on. I'm not saying like, oh, it's the Union Party. They're like, oh, like, we all have, as both parties have a lot of room to grow. But I think that the response that we received from the majority was just so, shocking to us, because we really just went in there with the best, genuine like intentions in mind. We were just trying to clarify, and we're trying to also to speak to members of the public, because they also deserve to know, what's happening. Like, not a lot of people were at that session, and we wanted to, bring light to that as well, to give the public a bit of clarity, and that we're trying to work things out. But yeah, I think it was just a completely horrible response we received, and again, I think I can say on behalf of my party that we will not be apologizing for expecting higher standards, or for refusing to be bullied into silence on that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Hmm. Thank you. Any words, Rivo?
Yep. If you're gonna respond to attacks alleged attacks, because our statements were not attacks, as Josh said. These were simply suggestions aimed at keeping the house as decorous as possible. We really care about our decorum. How are you gonna be a majority leader, which should have familiarized himself with the standing rules a while ago, because this is not his first time in Congress, and sit with the minority leader after joining a session in the middle of the agenda? That doesn't make any sense to me. If we call you out, you're gonna complain because we attack the other party. It's a political attack, yada yada. We're trying to discredit your reputation and everything else. And if we stay silent, then you are gonna still attack us, calling us incompetent. I I just do not like
It's
feel good
ironic,
about
yeah,
it.
completely,
It's
yeah.
completely ironic indeed. Also, if we
And
really
and
want
if
to
I
make
can
progress,
just say
can
one
I
thing,
please
Rev,
finish?
like, yeah.
Yes, go.
Um, Well, I just think I want to just say one thing, like, and I'm sure you agree as well. Like, we don't want to cause drama. Our intention was not to cause drama. We just want to try and grow together. We want to grow as a chamber. We want to ensure that we can be as productive as possible because let's face it, like, we need to try and be as productive as we can during those sessions because really a term, it might seem like long, but for all the legislation that we have to propose, the channels we have to go through, it really is, it's such a short amount of time to get stuff done. So we really need to be as productive as possible. We need to have everything, organized, ready, and just, yeah, as best as we can to get the best, result from that term. So we were just trying to, I guess, express our concerns so we could build up and improve on it in the future. And I'm sure you agree that with that as well, Rev. But yeah, that was my bit. Sorry.
Yes, absolutely. Additionally, if we really, I would like to also state before moving on to what I was about to say just now, that our goal for this term was being a strong opposition, which speaks up every time that it feels that something is wrong with the chamber. We felt that this session needed to be commented on publicly since we had no audience. Nobody was in the gallery but you, Mr. Nine, and I believe the President of the United States, who was not even in DC. And we just thought that everybody should know what happened, especially because C-SPAN usually streams this session, but they were not present today. Plus, if we really want to make Congress fun, then we have to actually push for situations like this. Of course, partisanship is very important for the chamber, but when situations like this arise, people will have stuff to speak about, and the community will just like be alive. And yeah, that was my bit.
Is that all from both of you?
Yes.
All right. So I want to get into a little bit more of this situation, kind of the nitty-gritty. Um, at 4:18
Yeah.
p.m. EST in the statements channel, uh, Representative RayBanzAMakeHerDance stated, quote, "First of all, I seem to recall that bipartisanship was a shared goal of the Liberty and Union Party and promised in the campaigning done in the run to this past election. The Liberty Caucus must realize that bipartisanship cannot happen in an environment of petty political attacks and nitpicking. This was in response to, at 2:40 p.m. EST, Minority Leader Josh, you stated, quote, the other thing which bothered us was House Leader Ray deciding to sit with the Liberty Caucus instead of sitting with his fellow Unionists after he joined the game. What do you have to say to Ray basically kind of, in a sense, passive aggressively talking about your goal or your, what you talk about, what you preach, and yet not necessarily
Yeah.
valuing those,
Yeah, no, completely. Like, our standpoint was we wanted to ensure that, everyone was following the HSR in the chamber. We are like, I can say it on behalf of my party, I'm sure Rev agrees. We have so many ideas and we are really trying to, be, a good bipartisan, get bipartisan up. But the thing is, like, as Rev said earlier, we also are trying to be like the Liberty Caucus, and the Liberty Party in general. We've always been a party, that holds the truth. We've always, been known for our transparency, and we just wanted to, I guess, for future cases to try and get things to how the HSR was. Like, I'm not gonna lie, right? Like, it was not that we were personally upset that Mr. Ray was sitting with us. Ray is a great person. It wasn't a personal thing. It was literally, we just wanted to ensure that the rules were being followed and that we could ensure that decorum was displayed in the chamber, and it was nothing more. And quite frankly, the fact that Ray was saying it was a personal, nitpicky, political charge or attack, it is quite hurtful. I think on behalf of myself and on behalf of Rev, because I thought that, I guess, we had more of a strong relationship with the other party's, leadership, and I think that we were quite nice in our statement. We never, like, we weren't, openly criticizing them. That was never meant. We were never trying to do that either. We were just trying to convey what we can improve on in the future. And it's just like, as per the HSR, my majority sits on the right and the minority sits on the left. It's just how it's done. It's just organized. And it's just ensure the decorum is followed inside the chamber. So yeah, it was very shocking. And I'm sure, Rev, you can agree on that as well. It was very shocking, the response that we got.
Mm-hmm. Revan,
Absolutely.
any additional comments?
Yep. If we really wanted to attack them, we would have. You guys probably know that I have attacked multiple people in Congress in the past with way, like, more aggressive statements than this one. This one wasn't even aggressive. This one was outright respectful, and it was
We were
advice
just,
which
yeah,
they did not take lightly, which is sad.
like, it's
And really
more,
sad.
yeah, if
Oh
I
my
can
God, we're
say,
getting very late.
it more shows their lack, of their lack of willingness to ensure bipartisan, because we were literally just trying to get across, what we can improve on. And I'm not saying like, oh, it's all union needs to work on everything. Like, we as Liberty, we also need to work on things. We have been working on things, but I think it's important that we keep open communication with each other and that we give feedback to each other. And I think that, obviously it's very obvious that Mr. Ray took it as a personal attack, which it was never meant to be. And yeah, it's just the whole situation we were deeply appalled by, and yeah, it's not what we would expect out of a member of the House.
All right. I actually wanted to touch on a statement you just made, not Speaker Pro-Tempore. Wait, yes, Speaker Pro-Tempore. Um,
Mhm.
you had said, quote, you have, if you, if you wanted to attack, you have made more aggressive statements before. By aggressive statements, are you meaning threatening statements? Are you saying that you would threaten the other party?
I have threatened multiple people in Congress before. I have attacked them personally, and I do not believe it's the way of maintaining a healthy and functioning environment in the House. So I'm not gonna be attacking anybody.
All right. Um, so these aggressive, I guess, statements or threats aren't something to be escalated physically. These are just more statements to be made to try to push someone into doing something, basically.
Oh, pretty much. And I believe that Congress matters should be
Yeah,
handled publicly as well instead of handling them behind the scenes. This
of
just
course.
shows that
Yeah.
we are way more active and transparent than past Congress were.
Mhm.
So our goal will be actually promoting active engagement with the community and public statements.
I agree. That is.
Like,
Oh, no, go.
I would say, if I can just add there really quickly,
Go ahead.
like, I think it's really important that we are, as transparent as possible with the public. And, the public deserves to know what's happening. We get the honor of being entrusted with the immense, responsibility and honor that they entrust to us. But like it's not fair that everything is behind closed doors. No, that's not what a transparent Congress looks like, and that's not a Congress I don't think anyone in the Liberty Party wants to be involved in. Like, we want a transparent Congress. We want a Congress where the public knows and can trust members of the House and the representatives as a whole. And I think that in the future, I know Ray was saying, we need to things you could have privately DM'd them or went behind closed doors or blah blah blah. And sure, fine, we could DM them or whatever, but I still think that transparency is the best way forward, because at the end of the day, our goal is to ensure that we can, be open with each other, be open with members of the public, and just better ourselves while also ensuring that the public stays informed. Because there's no point in having everything behind closed doors and the public doesn't know what's going on. Like, that's not what we want to achieve here, and I'm sure you can agree, Rev.
I can agree, yes.
Alright, I also agree as a senator, but obviously I'm not going to be using that position. But I agree that, as actually funny and ironically, as time has moved on, how do I say this? The new Congresses have been a bit more transparent lately, and I feel like the 70th has been even more transparent lately, thus far, than really the previous ones. Um, I also want to go back again. I know you've kind of discussed on the um, conflict between you guys and Ray's comments. There is a specific comment, another one I would like to touch base on. I think it's kind of
Sure.
interesting based on what you guys have already said. He states at 5:01 p.m. EST in the statements channel. Let's see. Quote, the mistakes were small, and I don't believe anything like the statement the minority leader made has ever been written before about something so insignificant. It's really just a joke. And this was, I believe, commenting on your first statement regarding the whole situation,
Yes.
minority leader
Yes.
Josh. Yes, and so how do you feel that he basically kind of just, in blunt words, clowns you guys, clowns your caucus, by saying it's just a joke? Quote.
Could you repeat
Oh,
that? Apologies, my audio disconnected there for a minute.
Yeah, that's fine. Where from, the question or like the explanation?
Yeah, just if you could go over the question
All right.
just one more time, that would be amazing. Thank
Yep.
you.
So I was just basically saying the question was, how do you feel that Ray, Representative Ray, basically at 5:01 p.m. EST in the statements channel, essentially clowns you guys, to put it bluntly, and just says it's really just a joke. The full statement was the mistakes were small, and I don't believe anything like the statement the minority leader made has ever been written before about something so insignificant. It's really just a joke. So he first says that the situation was insignificant, and then secondly calls this whole situation a joke. How do you feel about that? Or how would you respond?
It's worrying. It is quite frankly worrying that Ray would view it like that. Like, you know, again, it was not a major thing, but the HSR was breaked. It wasn't followed, and at the end of the day, all we were trying to do was to ensure that for the future, we could improve and be as transparent as possible. And to think that being transparent with the public and trying to better ourselves for the future and ensure that we have a more productive session is quote unquote a joke. Well, that's a whole other thing. And quite frankly, I completely disagree on that. And I think that if open communication and feedback is viewed as a joke, then one should not be in a role like a member of Congress.
Reveal any additional comments?
yes. We actually make these statements because we do not want Congress to get clowned on. Uh, in the past, we've had like some news organizations registered under the BRA, just like the Hill, for example, which used to criticize Congress a lot. So any news organizations, of course, not C-SPAN, could have just opened the HSR after they saw Ray sitting with us. And after opening the HSR, they could have seen that the majority needs to see with the majority, and they could have made a post in which they said, House rule cannot follow their own procedure. And everybody would have started clowning us. We do not want this. Even though these statements worse, as how I define them, can get people to criticize us. I mean, we do not want to get made fun of for silly reasons like this. And if you are against this, you are just, pardon my language, an idiot.
And if I can even just say, you know, we've been given so much responsibility that we need to ensure that we, do our best. We can't afford to, have any mix-ups or as little as possible when we're representing all of the amazing Americans that voted us in. Like we got such an amazing opportunity, that not a lot of people get. Like it's not something that everybody gets an opportunity to do. And I think that yeah, completely what Rev said. Like, we don't want Congress becoming a joke, or we don't want Congress looking like, we don't care or we're fooling about. Like, no, we're here to serve the people of America. We're here to ensure their voices are heard, and we're here to ensure that the law is followed. Simple as.
Any additional comments, Rio, or that's all from you both?
That is all for me.
All right. So do you believe that due to this situation that there should be further, I guess in a sense, punishment to Representative Ray, or do you feel like that's too much of an escalation and the situation should just be, like a verbal warning essentially?
Are you fine if I go first?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you can go first, Rev. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, it will be too much of an escalation. They made this mistake just once. If they learn their lesson, then it's fine. We can move on. But if this is repeated, then we're gonna call it out again and again and again until they fix up publicly. We're gonna do it publicly so that people get to see that Congress is active and transparent and whatever, and so that everybody has fun. Yeah.
And if I can just comment on that as well, I think that completely what Rev said, but I think that, you know, I think it's very important that we do move past this and that we do try to achieve, a bipartisan Congress. That is, I guess, that's the main goal here. But at the end of the day, I do think personally, what I would like to see from Representative Ray is some form of, maybe a little bit of an apology, especially directed at members of our caucus who could not attend today. Even one who had filled out a proxy and everything. There was two members of our caucus. One had a proxy filled and everything. One other, their phone died. They were not able. They tried their best to contact us. It was all sorted, and we even made a statement regarding it during the session. And I think that it's not fair on our members of our party or our caucus to get that level of disrespect. Like, okay, Ray, if you have issues, you can come at me, you can come at Rev, but don't come at our representatives, don't come at people in our caucus. And I do think that especially the House Whip or the House Minority Whip does deserve an apology. But yeah, no, I don't want to escalate the situation further. I think that we need to move forward from this. We need to better communicate. But like R3 said, if they're gonna keep defying, the HSR, if they're gonna keep not being transparent, if they're gonna just make Congress a laughing joke, we're not gonna let that happen. We're not. I'm sorry, we're not gonna let that happen. So we will pull them up on it. But yeah.
All right, great. Reba, any additional comments to that?
Nope.
All right. Do you guys have any more comments in general regarding the matter, or do you believe you kind of settled the situation?
I believe
Um,
everything cooled off.
I just want, I guess,
Mhm.
from my standpoint, I just want to express, you know, to the American people and to everyone that put all their trust in the Congress as a whole, that this is not, this what was displayed on behalf of the House. It was not at the level of standard that it should be, and I do deeply apologize to everyone, every American out there who had to witness it, because we are so honored to be in the position where we can, ensure that your voice is heard. We can push out legislation that actually matters, and for, you know, people to take serious matters of Congress as, you know, jokes, and to just completely take disregard for any sort of feedback or whatever. It's not right. And I hope honestly with all my heart that we can improve on this. I hope that, especially going forward, in this term, and for, as many terms come, that we can achieve more communication between the parties, and that we can be as transparent with the public as possible, because that's what we're trying to aim. And that's what I think the Liberty Party is trying to aim. We're trying to be transparent. We're trying to uphold the truth, and we're trying to fulfill the massive responsibility and massive honor that we've been given. So yeah.
All right, thank you. Riva, anything to add, or that's about it?
That's it. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you too for joining me again on the left. Speaker Pro-Tempore Revo, and then on the right, Minority Leader Josh. Thank you both, and yeah, it was glad to speak with you. To spread your side of the story. Do note that I will probably also be having a raise side, for equality on both sides, so it's not just
Of course.
one-sided.
Of course.
And I'm sure you
No,
guys
completely.
will,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure you guys will eventually respond again when you see that side of that story. But again, thank you, and that's it.